Hello, it's Adedoyin Jaiyesimi here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Once in a while, or maybe it's even once in a while, usually, sometimes, a number of times, I get these comments from people who are introverted, really asking me for tips on how they can navigate working in the public relations and communications industry, because a key part of what we do has to do with networking, relationship building, which can be a struggle for introverts. And I can so relate, because whether you believe it or not, I am actually quite introverted, but I've been able to, I believe, successfully navigate my career within the industry. So I just thought to do this video to share tips, share my journey first of all, and then share tips that I really hope will be useful for you if you're an introvert and you're really trying to find the balance and you really want to make it or have a successful career within this industry. So if you know anyone that is very introverted, they love PR, they love communications, you can send this video to them. Okay, so I think for most of you, especially if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I cluelessly stumbled into this career. When I first started, I was in a media company and my work was largely on the back end. So I was doing a lot of writing. I was writing on the websites, and even when I had to contact people, it was via email, maybe phone calls, but I didn't really have to meet people. I didn't have to network with people, which was super great. When I then moved on to managing the magazine of that particular organization, then I had to start interfacing with people more. I remember one of the first photo shoots that I had to manage on my own. It was with a celebrity, and this celebrity in question is very quiet, and I just didn't know what to do, because I was like, I needed him to have more energy for the shoots. If you've ever done shoots, the vibe, the energy, everything has to be like on point. But this guy, he was really mellow, and I needed him to be gingered, but I didn't even know. I wasn't really interested in talking to him, but I had to do that. And that particular role, when I moved to the magazine, managing the magazine and having to handle photo shoots, celebrities with all their drama, I think sometimes I'm still, the effects of that, I kind of shy away from celebrities, all these entertainment people, because some of them have shown me pepe in this work, but I digress. Anyway, so I really had to learn how to navigate or coordinate with the celebrities, their team, the entire team for the photo shoot, so the photographer. And we used to use this high profile celebrity photographer, and he was exceptional at his craft. No airs, no drama, really one of the best, I would say at the time, maybe still now. And stylist, it was just a whole group of people that I now had to start interfacing with them in person, and that really took a lot from me, because in as much as I love the fact that I was bringing together this magazine, I was doing this work, I could really care less about this person that has just dropped an album. I didn't really care so much about, this superstar has launched this. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I was doing it because I needed to do it, and that made it even harder. And then at some point, we made a pivot with the magazine. So instead of having like actual pictures on the cover, we decided to do this edition with an illustration. And there was this big fanfare about the thing, and they wanted to launch it in partnership with BlackBerry. There was this event, and then there was a lot that went into that. So I started now getting, outward facing, dealing with events, dealing with people, which really was me coming out of my comfort zone. And I remember at that event, one of the partners then came to me and said, obviously, because I'd been working on it, from the beginning, that he wanted me to talk about the magazine, talk about what we're trying to achieve, why we went in this direction. And as he said, come on stage, and it was a big event. As he said it like this, my brain was as if alarm bells started going off in my head. I was like, no, I am not going to do this. Obviously, I couldn't tell the managing partner this. So I just said, yes, sir. Immediately, I was like, Adedoyin, you have to go and hide. Yes, I'm going to just confess and really admit, I went to look for somewhere to hide. I hid because I didn't want my colleagues to see me going somewhere, like entering into the toilet or into the car, because obviously when that time came, I knew that they would be looking for me. And with the way that organization was, someone would just say, I saw Adedoyin in the car. I just found one table like this, because obviously he had a tablecloth. I just went on that table. I kid you not. I knew when it was time for me to come up, and I didn't move. And then the other managing partner had to go up and do it, and that was how I didn't do it. And then I came out from under the table. Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? I can't remember what I said. I always say I lied. God forgive me. I'm sure I lied. And obviously, yeah, it went well, but I just didn't do it. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't want to do it. I moved on from that role. I went for the 1-year compulsory youth service that we do in Nigeria. And then by the time I was coming back to Lagos, that's when I started my brand communications manager role. And I was behind the scene yet again, happy and comfortable in my happy place, just managing things for the senior pastor. And then all of a sudden I get this invitation from one of the churches, the church branches, asking me to come and speak about using social media for church evangelism. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. But the senior pastor convinced me. He was like, look, you're good at this. You have something to say. You're going to get more invitations like this, so you should be more comfortable. So I went to, and he gave me tips as well. And I went to do that. I was really, really, really nervous. I did it. And at the end of it, you know how when someone speaks and there's just this flock of people coming to say, oh, well done, this and that. That thing used to freak me out. Because I'm like, I don't know these people. Why are they speaking to me? I just used to feel very... But thankfully, it didn't used to show. I think it didn't used to show, but I didn't really enjoy it. And yeah, so that was how it went. Every time I would have to go for events, conferences. In fact, there was a conference where they'd been talking about, networking. I'll just meet somebody, and it was just so awkward. I was trying so hard. But I realized that if I was going to be successful, if I wanted to be successful in my career as a communications professional, I needed to find that external facing part of it less awkward. I needed to do it in a way that would be, I don't know, I don't think the word is comfort, because you have to come out of your comfort zone, but do it in a way that didn't feel so awkward to me. And that became my goal, to find a way to be able to do the external facing things in a way that wouldn't be so awkward and become more comfortable with it. And having that realization, I started to think about, what steps do I need to take? What do I need to change? I knew that I didn't like small talk. I was quite awkward in conversations with strangers. Put me in a room with people I know I can talk, but like strangers back then, so I see someone is drawing, I don't even know, it was really, really hard. So one thing I started to do was I started to focus on my public speaking skills. I would watch a lot of videos of public speakers. I started attending sessions about networking, getting tips here and there. And then I decided to look inwardly. One thing that I do so well, or I enjoy doing, is giving compliments. I really like giving genuine compliments. So I started to use that. So instead of going for events and trying to speak to everybody, I started focusing on the one person or two people and just listen to them, let them talk, genuinely be interested in what they have to say, genuinely be interested in their work. I mean, it's not every time that I'm really interested, or let me not lie, but at least I really just try as much as possible to learn the art of conversation. I bought the book. I'm always recommending this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it really, really helped me. I read a lot, so books, if I want to upskill or close a certain gap or build knowledge in a certain area, I'm almost always going to read a book. That book really, really helped, and the one by John Maxwell. I think everyone communicates, but few people connect. I've recommended it in past videos before. So I started to practice some of those things, improving my listening skills, because if you want to have a good conversation, you must listen. A lot of people just talk just to talk. So I started practicing some of those things, and it became less awkward. I also learned what was authentic to me. So I would not go to a conference, for example, and try at that conference to network with the keynote speaker, except if I absolutely need to. And the reason is because everybody is trying to speak to this keynote speaker or this popular person. Everybody is telling this person that they inspire them. The awkwardness, I couldn't deal. So I just tried. I would just tell myself when I go for events, when I go for conferences, just be genuinely interested with people. So when I was doing briefs where maybe I'm organizing or I'm managing comms for a conference, a summit, or an investor meeting, or whatever it is, I would just find 1, 2, 3 people to have genuine conversations with and truly be interested in talking about. Because I know I can be very serious when you're telling me about the weather, about what your mommy ate yesterday. I'm like, what's my business with all of this? But I let it truly actually care and just pay attention because it seems to be important to this other person. And I think the biggest change that I had to make was to mentally prepare for big events. Like if you're an introvert, you know this, you have to be mentally prepared to engage with people. And that mental preparation for me really, really, really helps. I remember just recently I was invited for an event that I thought would be a small, very, very intimate dinner, networking type event. And I go there and I see this big field, I see people, I'm like, God, I'm not ready for this. I'm actually not ready. And I was literally planning my way up because I wasn't mentally ready. And I saw someone I knew and she was like, Adedoyin, stay. So I was just walking around. I tried my best, but I didn't really, really talk to a lot of people because honestly, I was not mentally ready. So I tried to mentally prepare myself. And then after such big events, because for introverts, those interactions, they actually drain. It's like something is literally coming out of you. I find like 2 days where I'm inside my house, in my room, just in my meso, just recuperating from that experience. So I've learned to do what works for me. But when I have to go out, when I have to network, when I have to build relationships, I do my best to make sure that I am present. And I have come to the place where I enjoy it, because where you begin to struggle is where you are just doing it to tick a box. It's not the best place to be. I genuinely find something. So what I did, that particular event that I told you about, when I saw someone that I knew and she convinced me to stay, I was like, okay, you know what? What's interesting? I tried to find an interesting angle to the event to make it exciting. And that filter was what I used to help me truly enjoy the event and actually be present. I really didn't want to network in terms of connecting with people, listening. I just didn't. So I met a few people that I already knew. I spoke to maybe 2 people that I didn't know, and they told me about the work they did. One I was really fascinated about because this person was a diplomat and she was telling me about, moving from country to country, which I genuinely found fascinating, but I didn't do much of that. So you have to be able to say, okay, this is what I truly enjoy in the big picture. What do I truly enjoy, and build on that. And so if I can share some tips, I think first of all, as an introvert, you need to work on your emotional intelligence. It's something that I also had to do. I think there's a book by Daniel Pink on emotional intelligence. See, I've read a lot of books and I've watched a number of TED Talks and videos on connecting with people, building relationships, and that really has helped me. Obviously, I don't use all of the tips, but the ones that apply to me, I have used. So really work on your emotional intelligence, because the truth is, if you want to succeed as a communications professional, you can't be sitting on your desk, even in your workplace. It's part of the things that I train communications professionals on. You have to be networking with people in other departments, because you really have to be that proactive communicator that is able to see the bigger picture. And you're only able to see the bigger picture when you have information. On the times that I've done 9 to 5, I use lunch time to connect with people. I use the times where I come to the office early to ask about people, just know what's going on in their lives. That commute from work to if you carpool with your colleagues, just getting to know them. Those are little ways you can use to break the ice. For me, I started with the one person. If you can't deal with 5 people, 10 people, start with one person. And from one person, you expand to 2 people. Take baby steps, but don't just sit and say, I'm an introvert. It's not acceptable, especially if you are sure. Because for some people, they might just be like, this thing, I don't really think that this PR and communications is for me, and that's fine. But if you're really sure that this is the industry you want to play in, this is the industry where you want to build a successful career in, you got to put in some work. And like I said before, truly be genuinely interested in people, because you're going to interface with different stakeholders. I've had to network or build relationships with investors from the UK. I may never meet them again, but in the 2-3 days I had to interact with them, I had to make it work. So you have to draw out, I don't know what the word is, strength within you. And let me also say, because again, prayer is very central to me. Like, I pray to God about everything. I ask the Holy Spirit to help me about everything. So I always commit every event, every engagement, every interaction into the hands of God. And I ask the Holy Spirit to help me. I ask the Holy Spirit to help me connect. I ask the Holy Spirit to give me the words to say. Even when I feel my energy is draining and I'm zoning out in an event, I really just pray, right? So yeah, those are just some of the tips. I hope that you found it useful. If you're an introvert, how have you been able to navigate working in the communications and public relations industry? What have you done well? What have you not done well? And maybe we should create a support group for ourselves. But I guess to wrap up is, I really do believe that you can succeed in this industry as an introvert. You just need to be able to create your boundaries, know that this is work, and put your work game face on, have a smile, be interested in people, go to the places that you feel comfortable going in, even when, so for example, there are settings where I may not necessarily feel comfortable, but I have to go to those things. I think I'm at a place in my career where I don't have to be in certain spaces. I can send someone, but where I have to be there, I will be there, be happy, and immediately, once I don't need to be there, I'm out. So find what works for you, but make the most of it. Make the most of it. I've met some really incredible people. In as much as I say I don't like small talk, I've actually connected with a lot of incredible people just from small talk. So yeah, I hope those tips help, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.